Right now, instead of panicking, well, I just say, already panicked. Your most important asset is your mind. So I'm going to tell you why it's worse than ever before. Take action now rather than later.
You see, if you cannot think, I cannot help you. I questioned all that. Why would I save money when they print money?
So many people are scared stiff or they're sitting at home and while I feel horrible for the, if there is 20% unemployment coming up because of this coronavirus, it's horrible, because I've been broke, I've been home, Kim and I have been homeless, Kim and I've had no money, no income, no savings, nothing. But yet that was back in 1984, and it was the best thing that ever happened to us because we got smarter, we prepared for this time. So right now, instead of panicking, well, I just say, I already panicked. I panicked back in 1984. So this is what you can do. And the most important thing you can do is your most important asset is your mind. The problem with the coronavirus is going to accelerate a bigger problem. And the biggest problem coming down the pike now, it's upon us today, is this pension crisis. It's much, much bigger and more pervasive than the coronavirus. You see, we can heal ourselves, if we don't die, of course, from the coronavirus, but this pension crisis is going to wipe us all out. And it's a global problem, just much exactly like the coronavirus is a global problem. The problem is our pension system. So anyway, it's a very important program. Most important is why you listen to this thing is maybe you be proactive and take action now rather than later. And I'll remind you, your greatest asset is your brain or your mind, if you have one. But your mind and your brain could also be your greatest liability, especially listen to my poor dad, which was go to school, get a job, save money, get out of debt, and get a pension. Those are the guys that are in trouble. The coronavirus and the coming crash, financial collapse possibly, marks the end of the industrial age and the beginning of the information age. It's a very big move. And the people that are in trouble today are people still stuck in industrial age thoughts. And let me give you an example. The reason London Real and Brian Rose is doing so well is you guys moved on. I moved on. Rich Dad moved on years ago. The people that are having a hard time are called BBC, NBC, CBS, because they're still industrial age and they're going to get crushed. This is how what Fuller talked about, the prison is inside our head, Buckminster Fuller. It starts with misinformation and misorientation. Misinformation, misorientation.
Money is debt. I use debt as money. And everybody thinks getting in debt is bad. Well, who told you that? I think the stock market is for losers. Why would you put money in the stock market when it's manipulated? That's what I think about. So I'm always watching the manipulation going on behind the scenes. That's what my brain is focusing on all the time. And I don't pay taxes. How is it I don't pay taxes? I can tell you. They hypnotize people into being employees who will work hard, pay taxes, save money, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. Until you question those sayings, those words, you'll be a poor person. Been hypnotized to work hard for money, to save it. The fractional reserve system prints it, and then they pay taxes after taxes. So I have all this debt. So the question is, how do you learn to use debt to get rich? Because they tell you not to get out of debt. So all I'm saying to you is, if a person does not question what they've been taught, they will always be poor. They've been hypnotized into being poor. And the average person has been hypnotized. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and invest in a pension. And you never get your money back. The whole thing was designed to keep you poor. So that's why I argue with you until a person questions what's already been put in their head.
People that are struggling financially haven't moved on yet. Those of you at home right now who are sitting going, but I'm going to lose my job, my house, my pension, and all this, it's because you're trapped with old thoughts. And as most people know, what did my information, education, cultural background, what did not prepare me for today? That's where the transformation or the metamorphosis begin. You take responsibility. Everybody talks about rights, but we have personal responsibilities too. And unfortunately, our university systems have failed us miserably. And the reason for that is every professor wants tenure. That's my whole family. That was the most important thing about getting a job, was tenure, job security for life. And that's what they teach kids without knowing it. They teach kids that life is dangerous and you need to be protected. So they're immature. College professors are some of the most immature. They might be very smart mentally, but immature financially. They can't take care of themselves. So they're teaching kids to be victims. That's why these trigger mechanisms, and you can't say words that are hurtful and all this stuff. So they're teaching that you're a victim, you're vulnerable.
Guy with the plan, the man with the plan, Brent Johnson, and I think he has the clearest vision of the future. So I want you to pay attention. I don't care where you live in the world, because I think Brent has as clear a vision of the future as possible. He's going to tell you what he sees coming so you can prepare for it. So if you can understand that, that's why this show is so important, because it's really about the future. It's very important. I want to hear what he has to say right now. The crash is bigger than I thought. So in March of 2020 was the biggest crash in world history of the stock market, but nobody knows anything about it because everybody's quarantined at home thinking about coronavirus and social distancing and wearing face masks. People are missing out on one of the biggest catastrophic cash heists in the history of the world. They don't even know what's happening. Now, the good news is this is the best time if you're ready for it. I'm going to make a fortune. So I want you guys who are sitting at home, licking your wounds and wondering when you're going to go back to work and so you can get your lattes and cappuccinos and pizzas. Just know you might be missing one of the biggest opportunities in the history of the world because our governments have really screwed up. And meanwhile, the rich are getting out. Wake up is my message.